We are now. Hey
All
guys,
right.
Engineer Wannabe here with my good friend Constantine from the channel Mr. B. It's really great to have you, Constantine. Thank you for joining me after a busy day at work. I really, really appreciate it. It's good to have you. Uh, it's funny how we got to meet each other last year towards the end of the year because of you wanting to. I think we had spoken before, but you wanted to use some of my videos footage and it got us talking. So it was really nice to meet you. You're a really humble guy, and I'm really honored to have you on here. um, so yeah, let's get started with your wristwatch. What are you wearing today?
First of all, thanks for having me.
Yes.
And yeah, it was good to get together before we wrote it a little bit already. And yeah, with all the Oris issue, you did help me a lot. So thanks for that. And yeah, in terms of the wristwatch check, I wear my trusty Breitling Avenger chronograph. How
Beautiful.
about you?
Yeah, I'm wearing actually the watch you used to have. I'm wearing the
The core cycle.
yeah, the Grand Seiko SPGX 259. I was actually doing a video on this, so I'm actually editing the video on the review of this guy. So that's kind of why we're a bit late. I lost track of time, and then I had some
As
issues. And
usual.
yeah, yeah. So we're not too late, but we're a little late. But yeah, I'm enjoying this a lot. I
Actually, you miss mine a little bit, to be honest. It's a beautiful watch, and if you consider the price point, what the watch offers, you get really a real great package there. So I was
yeah
pretty impressed by the SPGX 259, to be
yeah
honest.
yeah. I think it's an insane value for the money as well. Even, but I feel bad saying that because it's still it's still a lot of money. But I feel like it's almost a no brainer of a watch if you really enjoy handcrafting and things like that. Because with Zerato polishing, it's unheard of, like to have a person work on a watch like it being hand finished on the entire case for this kind of money. So I'm really excited to have it. It's definitely not a watch I would have bought for myself if I didn't have that collection theme I wanted to complete. White dial, pillars of Grand Seiko, so it's kind of a watch I bought just because I wanted to complete the set. But I do wear it from time to time. But yeah, um, you're Avenger. How did you come across? How did you decide on purchasing that? It's kind of a loud watch. It's uh, really kind of like a statement piece. But is there any thought process? Like, do you really love the watch, and is that why you bought it, or was there like an analytical perspective towards going for that, or?
Actually, I'm a big Breitling fan, and the most important thing was that the Avenger line still has wings. Um,
Yeah.
but I actually did purchases, I don't know, 2018, I think, already. Before I did own the Super Ocean Heritage 1, so the one with the ETA cost certified movement and the aluminium bezel inlay in 46 millimeters.
Hmm.
And I did like it, but somehow I did feel the Breitling Avenger more because from Breitling's heritage, it's more a pilot's watch company from my point of view. And
Yeah.
I like the bling. It's full polished bracelet, full polished case. You have the very unique bezel, and I just like it. It's the whole package, how it feels on the wrist. It's 43 millimeters. It's chunky but comfortable, so to say. And
Hmm.
I don't know. It's sort of my watch. I saw it. I tried it on. I wanted it. It's a watch I do still wear the most of all my watches, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. It does suit you. I think it suits your personality really well, and it's yeah. Considering seeing some of your videos, you seem to be drawn to like Hublot.
Yeah.
You really like the Tudor Royale that I have, so I really like that you like
Oh, the Tudor Royale is also Tudor Royale is such a unique piece. I really in love with the design, and I was impressed that Tudor actually came up with such a design.
it. Yeah,
They have, of course, a Oyster date or date day, and this is sort of just available in 36 millimeter. And when I saw the new Royale, I was really blown away, especially with the blue dial, sunburst dial, day-date
Mhm.
complication. I mean, if you would like to get a similar watch from Rolex, first in steel, it's not available.
Mhm.
And yeah, yellow gold, come on, it's price-wise definitely also interesting. And it's got its own design clues. It's a very interesting piece, mixture of different designs,
Yeah.
but also it has its own charm. And I think it fits perfectly into the Tudor line from my point of view.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, we'll get back to that. But let's say hi to a few guys in the chat.
Yeah,
Peter,
please.
good to see you. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Lewis as well. Lewis Sander, thank you for
Hi,
joining.
Louis.
Our friend Fred is here as well.
There we
Shalusa,
go.
everyone, make sure to check his channel out. Great guy. Matthew, good to see you as well. Hope you're doing okay with the weather there. Alexander, good to see you as well. Layman.
Hey, Alex.
Bobby, Rob, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Good afternoon. And Lawrence, good to see you as well. So some German fellas. I think it's good to see you all. I used to be a huge German football fan. I pulled this out again in honor of my guest Constantine. I am I'm not a I guess I'm one of those easy football fans because I like Bayern Munich. I was drawn to Bayern Munich when I was a kid. I saw Philipp Lahm score a goal in the World Cup, and I said I'm going to follow that guy. And turns out he was in Bayern Munich, and everyone's in Bayern Munich. So
At least the expensive and good ones are
yeah,
ending up in Bayern Munich, München. So yeah.
yeah, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, so let's get started. I wanted to dig a little deeper in and just just chat with you today. I know it's been a long day for you, so I hope this is relaxing for you, Constantine.
It's fun. It's fun, actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was going to ask you about. Let's talk a bit about what drew you to Grand Seiko when you got the SPGX 259, the one that I'm wearing right now. What made you go towards that watch rather than say some of their more blingy, let's say, watches, say like their chronographs. Those are a little big. They have, I mean, you do get a price premium with that, but um, uh, I was wondering what drew you to the small, petite, and restrained Grand Seiko.
Well, I was sort of ticking boxes, so similar like to your way to this watch. I wanted to add like a dress piece into the collection. I did own before 36 millimeter Rolex Datejust a long time ago. Sold
Yeah.
it because with the Jubilee bracelet and the yellow gold bezel, they are sometimes a little bit, I don't know, not feminine necessarily, but I don't know, I wasn't feeling that. And normally I do like the design from Grand Seiko anyways. When you do check out the dressier watches in 39 or 42 millimeters, the case is a little bit bulky, or the horns are a little bit longer. And I thought just the proportions of the SPGX 259 were perfect. They were spot on. And I really get into Grand Seiko in 2019 when we did do a trip to Japan, where I did buy my Seiko Turtle. So this I bought actually in Tokyo, and I get there really hooked, especially by the SPGX 259. I wanted to have a snow white dial, a very simple piece, and when you see just the dial, the hands, it's sort of a Patek-ish feeling. If you just check out how it looks on the wrist, how the reflection is. I don't know, it was a very simple piece, and this was the reason why I was buying it. And I actually still do miss it a little bit, but long term, it didn't work for me. I'm not done with Grand Seiko. I still think I have to check out some of their pieces. Maybe I forgot the reference number. Grand Seiko Spring Drive with the champagne color dial, the blued second hand. I forget the reference there, but sort of like that. A little bit bigger, but not too big. And maybe this watch as a 9F Quartz or as a Spring Drive could be interesting. And I wanted explicitly the 9F Quartz movement because when you dig into the history, how they make it, how they grow their own quartz crystals, the movement itself, the mechanical part is sealed. It's 50 years until you need the next warranty. This is something where I say they put so much effort, and when you see the price point, yes, it's not cheap for sure, but if you consider what you get in return, there you have the Zerato polish on the what's the name, on the hands, on the indices, on the case, of course, and you've got the 9F quartz movement. There's so much detail, so much which goes inside or into the watch, which did fascinate me. So this is why I went originally for the SBJX 259.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt like it wore kind of like a vintage Datejust or an Oyster Perpetual as well. It seems to have that rounded case shape. It doesn't follow the grammar of design, but really amazing beveling on the sides, and it's just an insane value for the money. And it's really impressed me as well that they got the price so low for this piece. So you mentioned the watch that you were looking into. I think you said the champagne dial with the blued seconds hand. Was that with the 44 GS case? Did it have the high polished lugs on it?
High polished lugs, right?
Yeah. So I think that's the SPGA 383, something along those lines. It's a really nice piece, and I do recommend it in the quartz. The quartz is a bit cheaper, but still a significant amount for for what you get. It's still quite expensive. But the quartz version of the 44 GS case is really slender, and it sits so well on the wrist. And I do recommend that if you're going to take a look at that case design, I think they've really hit it out of the park with the quartz watch.
What's really is funny is normally I'm not so much into quartz. It's just with Grand Seiko, I sort of prefer even the quartz over the automatic or the spring drive versions, because I don't know. Seiko itself, they came up with quartz watches in the very beginning. It's sort of tradition, and they put it to the next level, so to say. And this is why I do think, especially the quartz pieces from Grand Seiko, they're really interesting.
Yeah, amazingly over-engineered. They have even a hairspring to make sure the seconds hand doesn't jitter as it's going down the twin pulse motor. You mentioned the super sealed cabin or the super sealed chamber, 50-year service interval. I was thinking about the 50-year service interval. It might be a 50-year service interval, but I don't know if when you open it up, it's going to be all worn down, or if.
Who knows? I don't think so, actually. But if you seal it, if it's air sealed, nothing could happen. With the nowadays oils they use, I think this should be actually pretty okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, normally 50 years from now, I'm going to be, 89 years.
See, that's what I was gonna say. Like even if it was a little worn down at the end of 50 years, you're not really gonna care at that point. 50 years, I'll be 70. No, I'll be 80. So yeah, it's gonna be I wouldn't care at that point. But yeah, pretty impressive stuff. Let's say hi to a few other guys. Time Measured is logging on. Good to see you. Penny's here from All In Her Movements. Guys, check out her channel as well. Thanks, Penny, for joining us. And Fred has a question. Have you ever had to send any of your Grand Seikos in for service? I have not. I am ashamed to say that I'm a flipper. not for profit, but I guess the oldest watch that I have is 2 years old, that I bought in my collection. So it's only 2 years old. I've never had any issues with any of my Grand Seikos, so I haven't had to send any in. But I feel like I'm moving away from the flipper mentality. I'm really tuning in my collection now, and so I am really happy with what I have. So I don't think I'll be getting rid of a lot of watches that I have. How about you, Konstantin? Have you had to, in general, send anything in for service?
My Avenger, I damaged the pusher.
Okay. Yeah.
while I was working. I think I hit it on the fixture or something like this. And when I wanted to operate the chrono function, it gets stuck. So you
Oh.
have to wiggle a little bit. It came out afterwards. I brought it to service to my watchmaker. I think it was 80 euros. They fixed it. They made the water pressure test. It's also official writing watchmaker. And
Okay.
was like, due to COVID, it took 4 weeks because I did part-time work and everything. But it was all right. Service was great. Watch was running afterwards perfectly. Got the
Yeah.
water resistance check on top of that. So no issues so far. And it was my first watch. My GMT is actually due now for a service. So this is what I would like to do this year maybe, because I own this watch since, in July, it's since 10 years. So
Okay.
I'm not so much of a flipper.
Yeah.
I do collect long term. And yeah, GMT is 10 years with me. And I think I'm going to give it to service this year.
Yeah. That's. I mean, that's a good attribute to have, to not be a flipper. That makes you.
Depends.
Yeah. Um. But that's really interesting. So you've had your Speedmaster for a really long time, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah,
And
2013.
right. So that would be coming up oh no, in 2023, I guess you'd be considering service for that. So you would be I guess there are two sections in the watch community. Ones who say, don't service it until something goes wrong, and then there are others who say, service it within the required interval, or stretch it out maybe to 5 years or 10 years. Grand Seiko recommends service every 3 years, which is kind of outrageous. But what category? I guess you would fall under the category of preventative maintenance in a sense, right? You would service every 10 years or so.
No, I actually also more in the camp of, if the watch is running fine and has no special issues, then I don't bring it to service. I do, though, give it once a year to water resistance test, just to
Right.
check that one. But I don't see the reason why. Especially, I do rock my watches in intervals. So I have like three months the Avenger on, then I switch to another watch, rock it for three months. And so overall, the watches are not used that often, that much. And with that, I think it's fine. And with the current oils and what they put inside there, we do talk modern watches. So I don't see really the need to have every 3 years a service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I'm not a watchmaker. I don't really know what it entails to service a spring drive watch, because the spring drive watches are the 3 year service interval, or the high beats. I mean, I guess one could make an argument that there's a lot of friction happening in a high beat movement or a spring drive, but in the end, I don't think. I'll probably just take my chances and wait 10 years to service, if I even have the watch in 10 years.
Well,
But I hope to have my hand wound spring drive watch, which is my favorite watch of all time, and I'm really, really privileged to have it, and I'm super excited about it still after a year of owning it. So I don't foresee myself selling that piece, but yeah. AB is joining us. It's good to see you, AB. Thanks for joining us.
hey, bro.
Design
Yes.
Atelier, greetings. Good to see you, Jason. Thanks for joining us. Rob says he'll be 97 in 50 years. Don't think about it, Rob. Does Mr. B have a theme or vision for his collection? That's a good question. Penny, thanks.
Sort of. I do collect a little bit according to the ticking boxes philosophy. I also say one brand, one watch. So to spice it a little bit up, because I don't purchase like very often watches. I take my time. Like ticking boxes overall didn't work as well for me. So I look more into one brand, one watch, and then I check what really I do like. For example, I have right now 3 chronographs: the Avenger, the Omega Speedmaster, and the Carrera from Takoya. I purchased end of last year, white dial version or cream dial version. Right now, I'm still looking for maybe a Hublot Classic Fusion. Maybe it's going to be a Zenith Defy, I don't know, caliber 21 maybe, or the regular, what is it? The light skeleton movement.
Right.
Grand Seiko is still on my list at the moment, so I think the next watch is going to be sort of a dressy piece, but not too dressy. IWC Engineer is also something I could fancy, but not the current one, the Genta design iteration, the last version in 40 millimeters, for example. White dial, rose gold hands and indices, that sort of stuff is what I'm thinking right now about.
Yeah, very very nice. And you did a video where you kind of went over the Tudor Royal, and you settled on like the diamond indices, champagne dial, the two-tone Tudor Royale. Do you foresee getting that one?
This one I forgot to mention. So there, the right now the silver dial day-date Royal in 41 millimeters in two-tone. It has to be in two-tone. Come on, I mean,
Yeah.
it's from the design point of view, you need to have it in two-tone.
Yeah.
At least I for myself, and this is what I really would like as well. So especially with the yellow gold bezel.
Yeah.
I like the bezel, I think, in yellow gold a little bit more than in steel, to be honest.
Right.
But personal preference, actually.
Yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed the two-tone Tudor Royale. That was the one that I first got. The two-tone with the black dial and the gold indices, or the gold Roman numerals. Those were. It was. I still think it's the most beautiful Tudor Royale with the black dial, because the black dial looks like a chocolate dial under the reflection of the gold Roman numerals. So in the sun, it looks like a chocolate dial. It's just beautiful, and the gold bezel looks so much better with the engine turned, polished and grooves. It just looks amazing with the black and the two-tone. But my wife hated it so much.
Why?
It was I guess both my wife and I were not as blingy. We were kind of subdued. But I do have a flamboyant side to me, which is why I really like, the teal colors and two-tone watches. I love two-tone watches. So there is a flamboyant side of me that that kind of comes out every once in a while. And which was the flamboyant side of me is what gets the two-tone watches, like the two-tone Black Bay 36, two-tone Tudor Royale, and the Tudor Royale was a step too far.
The bezel is sort of how it reflects the light. It's a little bit more in your face, not as much actually. You have it the 38 millimeters.
Yeah, I had it in the 38. I think it was because of the bracelet. It was a bit more reflective than say the Jubilee. I guess in the Black Bay 36, I always took it off the Jubilee and I had it on a strap. So when the two-tone, the bezel and the stainless steel on a strap, it looks really toned down, but it has a little bit of spark. And when I wanted to go full spark, full fire, I put it on the Jubilee. But you couldn't do that with the Royal, right? Because of the integrated bracelet. And she did encourage me to keep it. She really, she cringed every time she saw it, but that had a subliminal effect on me, and I was just like, I took it back after a few days, and I said, hey, can I exchange this? And I did. And eventually, when the blue dial one came out, the funny story here is when the blue dial one came out, I picked it up because I still really wanted the Tudor Royale, and it's a huge compromise, but for my taste, but I still really like it. It's really nice, and it's the favorite watch in the collection for my wife. She really loves the blue dial Tudor Royale, and I kind of poke fun at her. I was like, "You like this, but you couldn't like the black dial with the gold." But yeah, it's funny how that works out.
At least you've got the support for purchasing the blue dial Royal. So.
Yeah, she's great though. I really enjoy talking watches with her, even though she's going, yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. Peter commenting on our 50-year service interval will be 116.
Well, 50 years is quite long.
Yeah. Don't think about it, Peter. I can't flip. No one here in the island to flip my watches. So, yeah. It's not easy to flip watches in Toronto either. I mean, you could, but you'd take a huge hit. I really had a really nice AD who helped me, So that allowed for me to flip without losing too much money.
How about watch forums? I mean, it depends also how you purchase the piece.
Yeah.
Okay, when you purchase it in AD, of course, you got the service, everything, which is also nice to have.
Hmm.
But when you talk about really flipping, purchasing in forums used and then resell it there, it's actually what a couple of guys do, which I know from Germany. I was a long time member in the German Watch Forum. They've got there the marketplace, and you could pick up literally everything. Yeah, if you would like to get an AP or a Rolex or regular watches, Steinhardt watches, whatever you fancy, Chinese watches. You've got a huge marketplace, and for selling, it was also nice. I did sell there some of my watches. But also, if you would like to sell by yourself or purchase by yourself, it was really also a good opportunity. But I think nowadays forums are not that much active. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think
Well, there are groups that I'm a part of, so those seem to be quite active. But I mean, I found a lot of the Facebook groups, forums, everyone's really out for that deal. So if you did buy in an AD at an AD, you were going to get hit hard if you didn't buy well, if you didn't get a really good discount. Um, so for the channel, I think when I had a good, I still do, but I was able to get those Seiko pieces that lose quite a bit of money and review them, but then give them back, and so that worked out pretty well for me. But yeah, I think if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be as much of a flipper. I would I would really slow down, pump the brakes, really take my time to think about what I'm going to get. But because I had that good relationship, I was able to whiz past watches, which wasn't good for my mental health. But hey,
well,
it's
this
what
is
we
a
do.
little bit my problem here. There's nearby, there's actually no AD.
Really?
Or you've got an AD there, but they do sell Fossil, Calvin Klein, and that sort of stuff. But like
Yeah.
real watches, it's nothing nearby. I'm more from the countryside from Germany or in
Okay.
Germany.
Yeah.
So, this was for me every time a problem, and this is how I've got one AD where I did bought my first watch and also another one. But normally I did purchase online because it's like 1 hour trip to the next AD, one and a half, one tour, and yeah, you don't do this normally, especially when you're at work within the week. On the weekend, there's well no time.
Yeah.
So this is how I do sort of mix buy things. Some I do buy online, some I do buy at an AD. But
Yeah.
AD, it's nice to try them on. But if it's not too close or in your area, then yeah, you're forced also to check out online.
Yeah, my AD is about an hour's drive as well. But thankfully, I get every other Monday off from work. So every 2 weeks, I have a Monday off, and that usually is a good time for me to get out and do something, and go talk, go chat with some of the ADs. Not now, of course, because we just got out of lockdown, so I guess it
AD
could.
Monday.
Yeah. Uh, every other Monday, a long time ago, I was able to go go out and take a look at watches, but it's been a while. Penny has a question, another one. I love Mr. B's two-tone GMT. Does he enjoy gold watches too?
Yes, indeed, I do. I did own also the Submariner 116618 LB, so the blue dial, yellow gold Submariner.
Right.
I did like it a lot, but I do rock all my watches. I wear them every day. So, as mentioned before, I do wear my watches in intervals, 3 months for work, for everything. And full gold is soft. It's really soft, and especially the Submariner with the blue dial. I don't know. I don't felt that comfortable with this watch as I do with my two-tone one. Two-tone is for me the best combination. You've got the strength of steel, you've got the bling of gold. It's sort of more my style than the full gold watch is. But I think like full gold in combination with a strap, for example. Talking about the Yachtmaster, rose gold Yachtmaster on the bracelet there. No, sorry, on the oyster flex strap. This would be something I could imagine as well to get one day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very interesting. Louis Sanders has a question. Should I bring quartz watches to service or only mechanical service all 5 to 10 years? Um, I would think if your quartz watch is a jeweled quartz watch, it will probably do well with a service, something that was built to last. Say a Rolex Oyster Quartz, the Grand Seiko, a 9F movements, even though they haven't made one that needs service yet. It hasn't been 50 years since they made them, so it's unlikely that you'd need a service. But if it's just a and at a course, just enjoy it until it dies and replace the movement. I wouldn't think a service is worthwhile on those Ronda or ETA movements. What do you think?
Same actually. I would apply the same rule. If you have problems with how the watch runs, any issues there, it's not as accurate as it was before. Okay, then bring it to the service, or do just once a year a water resistance check, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Penny's having some issues with her winding on the Polar Explorer. I think that's funny because Bark and Jack, Adrian's Explorer, I think he mentioned when he had to send it in for service, he had the same issue.
I
Yeah,
remember that video. Yeah.
yeah. He mentioned how it was like putting a knife through a bowl of sugar or something. It's just crunchy and
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Okay, let's move down the chat real quick. 100% the two-tone looks great on the Tudor Royale. Design Atelier Jason says, I'm a gold werewolf. What is the favorite watch brand from both of you and why? I'll ask Constantine to answer that one.
I was afraid about that. It's so hard to say. Very boring, I would say. Rolex is to me my favorite watch brand because I've got the connection to it. I started as a pure Rolex collector in the very beginning, but I get bored, so I would like to have a little bit more variety in my collection. Anyway, still, the GMT was the first luxury watch I bought for my 30th birthday. I've got the most connection to it. I can respect Rolex for what they did do. They didn't were the guys who invent everything, but I think in terms of commercial, in terms of marketing, they make like the date complication look special. There were a lot of watches before with the date complication, but they created the date just, the focus there, big ogle on it, magnification glass on it.
Yeah.
The GMT Master as well. So they are very well in market the things right, and in terms of design language, in terms of continuous improvement, they do very well. Right now, I would be not so happy with Rolex if I would have to purchase right now one. I did purchase, luckily, between 2010 and 2015, the golden ages where you could buy a Rolex. Mm-hmm. And due to this, right now, I'm not on the market for one. I enjoy the hell out of my GMT. And with the experience I have so far, that is like sort of my watch, my favorite watch. But I think very close afterwards is Breitling, at least with my Avenger. I don't know. Depends how they continue working with the wing thing, bring back the wings, especially on the Navi timer. But I do like some re-editions they make. I loved the Super Ocean 57 Rainbow, for example. This was, right. Or the Chronomat. Also there, the Chronomat, the bracelet, the design language, awesome. Just put the wings back on the dial, and it would be perfect. But yeah, I think so. Rolex, Breitling are watches or brands I do really like. Alang und Söhne. So right. I have to break it down to three. Alang und Söhne, because I think I like Alang und Söhne more than Patek, for example.
Yes.
Just because how many effort they put into each movement. It doesn't matter whether you get an entry level Alang und Söhne or high end. The detail and the work they put into the movements in terms of decoration, it's every time on the same standard, on the same level. And this is why I really do like and appreciate. And I also like the design language there.
Yeah. I think it's no secret that my favorite brand is Grand Seiko, Seiko Grand Seiko. I really enjoy. I think I'm kind of value focused, so it's funny to talk about value on high end luxury timepieces, but I like Alang and Zona. They Grand Seiko, they do the same amount of work on, say, the lower end, the entry level pieces like the SBJX 259.
Yeah.
They put the master artisan to polish the case and the bracelet. And if you look at the indices, the diamond polished indices, they have that same rainbow like shimmer to it when it hits the light that the higher end Grand Seiko pieces have. Really, really impressed with Grand Seiko. I think it's at the moment, at least, it's one of the greatest values in watchmaking, which is why I one of the reasons why I really like it.
And they're
Um,
going strong at the moment, right? Bronze Ico, in terms of when you compare like 3 years ago, not every in the forums they did talk about Bronze Ico, but the regular watch channels and so on, they were actually not existing in terms of marketing and so on. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
they become more recognized right now.
yeah. I would say they're in the mainstream now. I would say they used to be an enthusiast brand, and now I would say they're pretty high up in the mainstream. Not well recognized like say a Rolex or an AP, but definitely up there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think I have a second or a third place. I think everything else kind of. I really enjoy Zenith. I really enjoy Omega, and
All
I
right.
think they're all on a level playing field. Oris, of course, I really enjoy Oris as well. Um, and yeah, so Grand Seiko is just way over those guys, so I can't even can't even give a honorary or third place for those. Um, Jason says if my wife puked at my watch every time, I'd sell it too.
Yeah.
Talking about the Tudor Royale two tone. Um, Alexander Lehman says I also follow the one watch per brand rule. Aside from multiple Seikos in my collection, works well for me. I used to follow that, but then I decided, if I really focused on what I really love, I would only have Grand Seikos in my collection. Um, and that's kind of what happened to me. I guess I went from having one of everything to Grand Seiko, and now I have a couple of outliers as well. So I went the opposite way to you, Constantine.
Yeah, well, I will not say I will follow it forever, but right now it does work for me the best because you really have to focus on which watch you would like to get. So yeah, Takoya Carrera because it's iconic, Omega the Speedmaster, same GMT Master. I did have it before also some Submariners, 14060M, the two-tone Submariner, then afterwards a yellow gold Submariner. It was like you look at your collection, it's literally in terms of the design very similar or nearly the same.
Yeah.
And I enjoy right now going on the hunt for a different watch. It has to, of course, met my requirements or my likings, but if you have to focus on just one watch, you become more picky what watch you finally purchase and make sure that it's sort of the real thing you really want.
Yeah,
At least this is how it works for me.
yeah. Penny has another question. Does Mr. B foresee an end game to the collecting part of this hobby for him? Number of watches or a big goal watch?
Ooh, good question. Well, sort of, I would say the next watch I get is going to be, if I would get the Hublot, for example, I would be happy with the collection. Trouble though is every year there is another new release, another new watch, and YouTube is my hobby. It's like part of my thing. I'm very into watches. I like the watches in the hobby. I'm a collector since 2008, and I don't know. It's something I do like. I like to dig into movements, to see different collections. I love to see every time the new releases. And yeah, problem is every year there is somewhere a new watch I really do like. Like even when I now buy the Tudor, for example, or the Hublot, there
Yeah.
is still a Zenith. There is still, I don't know, maybe an IP, maybe also a great Oris, because I do like the new designs from Oris. Also that they go more in-house in this matter. And I don't know, I would be satisfied with the collection when I add now like the Hublot or the IWC Engineer or a Grand Seiko.
Yeah.
But I think 1 year later, I'm again on the hunt and think maybe what could I add or what could I maybe exchange or how could I improve my collection?
Right. Do you, I guess, do you ever see yourself exiting, um, the hobby way in the future.
No,
Yeah,
there's no exit, I think. I'm afraid there's no exit.
yeah,
No, it's really a hobby I do like, and there are so many things you can read about if you not
yeah.
are right now into collecting, but you can find out about different brand histories and about different movements. Check out what sort of complications are out there. Get into brands themselves. There's so many things you can
Mhm.
study. You can um, try out. For example, vintage. I'm right now not very much into vintage. This might change. And if you go into vintage, yeah, then you've got a total new field to discover there.
Yeah,
So the nice thing on the hobby is there are so many ways, so many things to discover it. It's very hard to go out, and I just enjoy it quite a lot. So
hmm
I think in the next future, no luck with that.
yeah, yeah. I mentioned in a previous stream how I feel like I don't think I'll be in the watch hobby forever, but it's if I were to look from here out to the future, I can't see myself really exiting, at least of my own will. I don't I don't see myself really exiting, but I feel like it's not a sustainable hobby. So feel in the future, I might not be a part of it. It's a very opulent hobby, and I still have that guilt when I do wear a piece, and I have this really expensive piece inside of me. I still have that guilty conscience, I guess. um
But also there, you don't have just expensive watches. Talking about Seiko, talking about Orient, and also there, if you just go into those sort of watches,
yeah,
talking about vintage Seikos, for example, or vintage Orients and Citizens, um,
yeah,
like brands from Hong Kong, micro brands. Also there, you can find a lot of watches, interesting watches, and as well, yeah, lots of interesting things. So I think even then you not necessarily need to leave.
yeah. No, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I guess personally, I would say that I'm so spoiled by Grand Seiko that I would never be happy with say an Orient Kamasu only, only an Orient Kamasu, or some of the really cool Zelos watches that have been coming out. I feel that I'm such a spoiled brat now at this point that
Yeah,
if
this is
I were to sell everything I had, and if I had just an Orient Kamasu, I would I would probably be pretty sad.
oh,
But yeah, let's move on. Um, Peter design or Jason is responding to Peter, saying my kids love my watches. They find it cool, and of course because they'll own it after I die. Kind of morbid, but Matthew, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Buying from specific 80s will ultimately give you the chance to claim and get a very good discount. Yeah, I found that to be true. Being loyal to an AD, I think will give you a bit more leeway, give a bit more bargaining power. Have you found that to be true at all, Constantine?
no, actually, I would disagree, at least with my experience. I went once to an AD in Cologne City, and I
Okay.
wanted to purchase an Oris, the Oris Stackhorn, actually, and
Oh, yeah.
a Nomos. And I was never before at this idea. I came in and told upfront, hey guys, I don't want to spend hours here to look. I know you've got to sell your watches. I've got the opportunity here to check them out, but I know the market prices. I know the gray market prices. I'm aware about that you cannot give the same discount. I don't expect it because I get the service, but tell me straight, what can you do? And guy was fair point, and they make a very competitive price. So I purchased there the Nomos Club Campus and the Oris,
Hmm.
and it was nearly competitive to the gray market actually. So be
Wow.
upfront, be kind, don't be like rude, be
Yeah.
respectful, but tell them, hey, I know you have to make a living there, and I have the chance to check out the watches. I take their time. They need to get paid for this. So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
absolutely fine. But yeah, be upfront with them, and okay, it's all right. Of course, if you would like to get the next Steelite toner, well, good luck with that. You need their history relationship.
Yeah.
But even then, my AD where also service my watches, for example. He's a nice guy, and he told me also, Konstantin, yes, you're a client, you're a good customer. I bought my the wedding rings also there.
Right.
Or my mom did purchase their Breitling, some jewelry stuff, and it's like he's there since years. And he told me, yes, you're a great customer, but I'm a small AD. I get also like one Daytona a year, and I have higher clients. I have to give it to them. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
and this is also right. I can understand this because you have to be with your customers, and when you have a guy who spends far more every year, of course he's got the preference for those pieces.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all right.
Yeah. And yeah, I think I would I would agree. Like you made a good point because when we go into the store, we are actually taking up their time, which costs them money. We're holding them up from potentially another customer. Like even nowadays, if we if we make an appointment to go in, they slot you in, and you know you're taking their time because they're having you one on one. In the store, you're not going there with anyone else, especially because of the times that we're in, and I think it's important to remember that. And if you are kind to them, they will think of you when you know a certain piece that you really like comes in, or you know they're more inclined to give you a better discount. So you know just be genuine, be kind, and you'll definitely get a discount. I would think with the pieces that they have in their window, or even pieces that they specially order for you,
Yeah.
uh, because
And don't go in there. Get all the service there. Go outside and purchase online because this is sort of a no-go from my point of view. Because as mentioned before, yeah, you take the time, you have the chance to lay your hands on. So be so fair and purchase it then also from the
yeah.
AD.
Yeah, and especially don't negotiate a price and then walk out. That's,
Right.
it's you know, get if they agree with your price and then you don't purchase it, you know they're gonna remember that the next time you come in,
Yeah.
because hey you know I negotiated with you and I said okay, you know I'll accept your offer, and then if you say no, hey I'm gonna think about it still, then you know they're that offer is gonna be off the table.
And
There,
also small services, for example. Hey, I need to get my bracelet adjusted. When you are not like into really into watches, you don't have the tools at home, small screwdrivers and everything. Well, they help you out also. When I go to my ID, need this small thing. Hey, I put like €5 into the um, coffee stock there, and then it's all right. So
yeah,
they help you then also with small things.
yeah.
That's
Alex says, I was never a fan of Two Tone until I took a closer look at the Rolex GMT Root Beer, which for me is the prettiest in their whole catalog. I think that was with their Everose Gold uh,
right,
brown dial. Um,
right.
yeah, yeah, it's a beautiful watch. Not for me. I'm not a huge fan of rose gold, but yeah, it is. I can see how it's a nice watch in other person's eyes. Do you like the root beer GMT, Constantine?
I like how it looks. I don't like it on my wrist because sort of my when I wear it, my color tone doesn't match with Everose Gold from Rolex. And I
Right.
think it's a shame that they discontinued the steel and yellow gold GMTs. So steel and yellow gold right now is just for the Submariner and the Seedweather, and the rose gold is for the GMT Master. And well, it makes sense to separate both the GMT Master and the Submariner a little bit more from each other. So that's an interesting choice.
Hmm.
But I still think they should also come out again with the steel and yellow gold GMT Master because I just do like them a little bit more. But personal
Yeah.
taste, of course.
Yeah. You guys have some really good questions here in the chat, and I'm falling a bit behind, so we're gonna skip forward. I'm sorry, guys. Matthew says two favorite brands, Glasuta Original and Grand Seiko, are both high value in my opinion. Matthew has a beautiful forest green Glasuta Panamatic Luna, so it's really nice. Do you like green dials, Constantine? Have you?
I do like green dials quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're a little bit harder to wear sometimes or to combine, I think. But if you have like a really nice sunburst green dial or a deep green dial, it's pretty cool.
yeah. I really like forest green. I'm not a fan of the Hulk green, but I do like dark forest green, rich green. Um, that the Panamatic lunar green is. It's a very nice, dark, beautiful, lush, foresty.
The Oris Pointer date in bronze with the green dial. This I do like also like quite a lot.
Yes, I actually own that, and I flipped it as I do. But it was a really nice green. My wife didn't like that one too. Fun fact: she called it the chalkboard Oris because it looks like
I
a chalkboard.
I think you are not a flipper. I just think your my wife make you sell the watches to me.
No, no. That's funny though. Um, Peter was asking us if we think, or I was mentioning Grand Seiko is a really good value proposition, and Grand Seiko recently released the Birch dialed watch. It's a beautiful silver dial with a looks like a bark,
Yeah.
um, and it's kind of expensive. It's I think 9,000 US dollars. Um, but I still think that's a good value proposition. Considering the movement, it's got a new dual impulse escapement. It's got a really nice power reserve. It's beautifully finished, machine finished, but beautifully done. And yeah, it's a nice case shape. Not my favorite case shape that they've released, but all these things. I think it's still on the end of being a good value proposition. But I think Grand Seiko is starting to ask what they're worth, but they're still under. They're getting closer to, say, I'd say the Snowflake is a $10,000 watch. If in my mind, a Snowflake is as a good baseline, I would say it's a $10,000 watch. So
Mhm.
now Grand Seiko is getting closer and closer to what they're worth, but I don't think they've hit it. So I still think the Birch style SLGH005 is a good value proposition. What do you think, Constantine?
I agree and disagree because you have also, when you are in that price range, you have to see what else is there.
Right.
So you could get also a Blancpain 57. Different style of watch,
Hmm.
but in terms of what is the competition in that level, it's a little bit more difficult. I think in terms of finish of the movement, in terms of finish of the dial, etc., you get more from the Grand Seiko than you would get from La Par. But it's not just the finish. It's, from my point of view, also brand recognition. It's a brand history and so on. So it's a little bit more difficult. Right now, I think it's a little bit more difficult for Grand Seiko sell the watches for the prices, but I agree with you, they undersell. Or the Snowflake, for example, should cost far more money because they do offer quite a lot for this watch. On the
Yeah.
other hand, the Godzilla, you remember last year the Godzilla limited
Oh yeah.
edition? I hold that one in my hands. It's mind blowing, but I think it was about 12K, 12,900 euros in Germany.
Oh really?
So
Um.
expensive. So you need, it's up there, I think, if I
Yeah.
remember right.
Yeah.
And it's a mind-blowing piece, but you have to be sort of really into the brand to purchase it because there's so much else for that price you could get.
Hmm. Yeah. The Godzilla was really mind blowing. I did hold it in my hands as well, and I really like that sunray dial, and in red. Oh man, it was that, and that shark skin strap. It was
It
so
was Godzilla leather.
yeah, Godzilla. Yeah,
It's really a beauty.
it was. It was. I think it was in the. I think 12K sounds right. 12K euros. Because
Okay.
if I remember correctly, I think it was around 10,000 USD around that price. I think it was around 13,000 Canadian when I looked at it. So yeah, impressive piece, but very expensive. A very interesting case shape too. It's got
Yeah.
that faceted case. Penny with another great question. What does contentment look like in this hobby? Asking for a friend. I'll hand it over to you, Constantine.
Ah, what's contentment look like?
I
No,
think
I had this one over to you this time.
yeah, I think this answering this question would be kind of like the blind leading the blind because none of us are content, right? But I don't know. I don't know what would contentment look like. I guess contentment would be where you no longer have the urge to purchase another piece. You no longer feel like going on the hunt to learn and to get that next piece to improve your collection or to um, So contentment would be where you're satisfied with what you have. You want to retire basically and enjoy the pieces that you have. Um, but I don't know how one would come to that. How about you?
I am just imagine there the one brand or the one submariner owner who received this watch after he finished his university studies, worked all the time, and is now in retirement on the beach with the same submariner on his wrist. This is for me like yeah, contentment with the watch in the hobby, like the one piece collector guy or
Yeah.
one watch collector guy.
Yeah. Um, Jason says, when you see a watch you like and you're okay with not owning it. That's a good point. If you're okay with not owning it, um, that would be where you're content. Orange Hand, good to see you, buddy. You when you can be a watch enthusiast without constantly adding to your collection. That's true. And I guess I shouldn't call you buddy. I don't know if you're closer to my age. I should be more respectful. Sorry for saying that. But yeah, that's a good point. If you're continuing to learn and to dig into the hobby, but you're okay with what you have and you don't feel like buying more, constantly adding what you see into your collection, that's a good sign of being content. Do you think the Tudor Heritage Ranger is coming back? Just tuned in. Good to hear, Sam. The Ranger was back for a while. It was way too big, at least from my point of view, with a 6.25 inch wrist, 41 millimeters with the 22 millimeter lug width. I feel like I could have pulled it off. I did have it. I did have it for a while, and I flipped it. But
did your wife like it?
Yeah, yes, she did.
Oh,
She did like that one. She black and red is very good in her book. So Tudor Ranger had black with a little bit of red, if I'm not mistaken, and she did like it. But yeah, I would think a nice 36, 38 millimeter Tudor Ranger would be very nice to see. Have you seen the Tudor Ranger, Constantine?
yeah, I saw it, I know it, and I wasn't a big fan of that, and I think they will not bring it back because it doesn't fit in the current Tudor lineup from my point of view. So
Right.
it was an interesting piece, but design-wise, I don't know. They have the Black Bay 41, 30, 36, 34, which is more like the Tudor Explorer, so to say.
Yeah.
But if they bring back the Ranger, I couldn't see it right now. But they released the P01, so who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. P01. Wow. That was something else. I did see that in person. It was, yeah, I think those end links really went way over my wrist, so I wasn't really able to appreciate it as I would have. But I know you were you were a fan of that model, weren't you? The P01.
I'm still am, because I think it's a beautiful design. It's interesting, and sometimes too they are allowed to do what Rolex never will be allowed to.
Yeah.
They can come up with such crazy things and release them, and it's not like their bestseller, but this watch, it's similar like the Royale. It's the sort of design, the sort of move is a very Tudor way to do things, and they've got the freedom to do so. This is why I really appreciate it. But
Yeah.
from my point of view, coming back to the Ranger, it wasn't that special, if that makes any sense. So
Yeah.
if Tudor bring out a watch, it must be very different, or it just must be a Black Bay.
Yeah. Yeah, the moneymaker. We have Verbumeister, if I'm pronouncing that right. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Louis Sander, can I get a wrist check? I would be interested what everyone of you is wearing today. Everyone, sorry for not asking you all, but what are you guys wearing today on your wrists? Sound off in the chat, as Tim Mosso would say. Jason, great definition. I like that, being okay with not owning everything we love. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Kevin, good to see you. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. We do work for a living. I have the day off. Constantine is back from work.
I just finished work and then get into the live chat.
Yeah.
Live stream.
Yes. Yeah, I managed to get the day off, so happy about that. Root beer is a great looking watch. It really is. Keith, good to see you. Thanks for joining us, Keith. Um, for the record, he's on his lunch break, working from home. Kevin says he's been on his lunch break for the last 8 months, working from home. Did my wife was okay. My wife tolerated the Black Bay 36 two tone. It wasn't it wasn't her favorite. I'm gonna skip down real quick. I need to make it like the original Ranger since the North flag is discontinued. I was gutted when the North flag was discontinued. I really enjoyed the North flag. I just never got around to getting it. But yeah, I was super sad when the North flag was discontinued.
This actually did surprise me because this was a very interesting one. It was an integrated bracelet or integrated strap. It's really good looking.
Yeah. Guy, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Ryan is here too. Hey, man, good to see you. Hey,
SX.
Yeah. Brandon's wearing his Black Bay 36. Good to see you, man. Cartier Santos. Oh, beautiful. Two-tone or steel?
Blue dial.
Blue dial. Chapek. Oh, heavy
nice.
hitter. That's a beautiful one. Kevin's wearing his Cassiope, working from home in the snow. Yeah, I think you're in Chicago too, right, Kevin? Not that I'm in Chicago, but Keith is in Chicago. Brandon's in Chicago. So you guys are. I don't envy you guys. But we've hit 1 hour, and I didn't even get to my questions. So I
don't. I've got time.
Yeah. Okay, let's do one of my questions that I had prepared for you. I was going to ask you, what do you have anything that you sold that you really regret selling, that you wish you had? Not counting maybe the Rolex watches you sold that have shot up in value, but just ones that you have a really big sentimental attachment to, that you might have passed on or moved on from, that you wish you didn't.
Well, the watches with the sentimental value I still own, so they're not. I do sort of miss the Grand Seiko.
Yeah.
To be honest, yes and no, because it just didn't work for me. It didn't get the most wrist time, and also I'm about, if I don't wear it, I'm going to sell it. And I'm far more happy with the Carrera because it's sort of more my thing. I wanted to have a dress watch, but just figured out I'm not a dress watch type of guy. It can be a little bit more elegant, but I think the SBGX 259 was too elegant for me.
Yeah.
But I do miss it. When I see it right now on your wrist, it's like, this was a nice one. Just of the finish, it's just a beauty. But the other watches I did so, no, not really. But when I purchase a watch, I take a long time, and when I'm going to sell a watch, I also take very long time to make finally that move.
Yeah. For me, I usually make a split-second decision about selling, and I often regret doing that. I've actually the Zenith I had was actually bought off my wrist, so someone actually really wanted it, and because I actually did make some money on that because of that, which is why I was able to get 2 Grand Seikos in place of the Zenith. I used to have the Chronomaster 38 millimeter, and it was a weird story, but but I was happy to get away from the Zenith, and I've often done that. Like when I had my bit of controversy with Oris, and I thought they did something that they actually didn't do. I offloaded my Orises, and I really regretted doing that. So I'm very emotional and I guess high strung, volatile. So if something happens, I'm quick to react, and I do regret it afterwards. I did repurchase something that I did get rid of because I thought there was no place for 2 Seikos in my collection, and it was an enamel dial Seiko. I actually just repurchased it, and yeah, so I have quite a lot of those regret stories. But yeah, it's good to hear that you don't really have that, and knowing that you've had your Speedmaster for close to 8 9 years now.
So
It's
2013, well,
eight,
more or less 8 years.
yeah. So
In my mind, I did sell it a couple of times, and then when I wanted to sell it, I figured out I just cannot. So
yeah,
so much
yeah,
there.
yeah, and I'm learning to be a bit more thought oriented. Take things slow, sleep on things, not react to things. So yeah, it's a good learning experience. I guess in the end I'm a kid, and I'm learning a lot. Um, okay, so if you were to pick automatic or manual wind, which would you pick?
Is this the only watch I could have?
Um, yeah, yeah. Let's say that. I have a follow up question. So, um, if there was one watch, let's say the ideal watch would be automatic or manual wind.
Automatic.
Automatic. Um, if there was one watch that is a manual wind that you would turn into an automatic, what would that be?
Oh. This is a good question.
Yeah.
Maybe, but on the other hand, no Speedmaster Professional. Actually, I don't know.
No. Yeah. I would have
Why,
thought
why
you.
would I purchase a manual wind in the first place? Because I get something out of it, and why should I change it into automatic?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I on the other hand would. I love manual winds, and if I could turn all watches into manual winds, I would.
Which is
Because-
easier, actually. You
yeah.
just remove the rotor.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. So if I were to change a watch that I love into a manual wind, it would probably be the SBGJ 201 Grand Seiko. It's the Iwache dialed white dialed Grand Seiko with the 44 GS case, a GMT, and it's really thick. And I think with the rotor removed, oh, it would be just excellent in a slightly thinner case. And so, and I really like fiddling with my watch, so I'm constantly taking my manual wind off and uh, just doing this. So, and so I do like manual winds. Let's go into the chat and say hello one last time. Keith is saying he's wearing his Hamilton Cocky Field. Beautiful watch.
Classic.
I've had a few, but then too few to mention. That's a good life. um, I know Constantine ticks boxes. How do you choose? Ah, good question. I guess yeah. I'm in my head. I'm constantly flowing. So when I found I wanted to tune in my collection into Grand Seiko, I decided, okay, so I'm going to start becoming a collector, like a person who has pieces um, for the sole purpose of having a set of a collection. So I knew I wanted the three great pillars of Grand Seiko would be their high beat, their spring drive, and their 9F quartz. So I knew I wanted those. I already happened to get my hands at that point on a white dial high beat, and I already had a white dialed spring drive. So I immediately knew I wanted a white dialed 9F quartz movement watch. And so from that point, I was going to move on to my next favorite brand, which was Oris. So I was going to get the three pillars of Oris would be I'd say a Diverse 65, an Aquas, and a Pointer Date, or a Big Crown, sorry, a Pro Pilot, or one of their flight watches. And yeah, so started. I've started on that. I actually happen to have my Oris right here.
Hey.
The Big Crown Pointer Date, sorry, the Big Crown Pro Pilot is I think the first of that pillar of collection. So I guess I'm in the kind of like checking boxes, and right now in my collection, I'm kind of filling sets, so to speak. So that's how it is right now. I'm sure that'll change very soon, but that's me.
How
That's
about complications?
I've never really been into complications. Like I mean, I enjoy chronographs. I like GMT, the GMT complication, um, and I've never really been drawn to like the perpetual or the annual calendar complications. They've never really done anything for me, so I've never really been interested. Um, so I've never thought to check boxes in terms of complications, like dive watch, GMT watch, day date. I've never really thought about that. So, have you ever gone down that route of wanting to have different complications in your collection?
I try to consider this, so that's why I've got also GMT chronograph, three-hand day-date complication with my toe. But I think in terms of annual calendar or really higher-end complications, not that much. Moon phase, for example, I just don't find a watch which I really like with a moon phase. So it's in terms of the design, not what I do like. So
Right.
yes, some complications I do like. I do, for example, like a lot from Longines, the one push piece chronograph.
Yeah.
This is awesome,
Mhm.
but other complication, pointer date, always pointer date is interesting.
Yeah.
But I do like more the rock solid complications, so to say. I also don't like a tourbillon. I can appreciate it. I like to see it, but collecting it, I don't know. It's something I don't like how it looks on the dial or how it looks within the watch, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And um, I don't really like complications that you don't have that much use for. Like
Yeah.
I'm not really into a moon phase complication, even though it's really beautiful, and I like to see them. I personally wouldn't own one of those. Same with the tourbillon. I think a tourbillon, especially for me, is like the ultimate flex watch, right? Uh, and yeah, it doesn't really do anything for me in that sense.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Ryan from Knife Watch says everyone talks about a great first luxury watch, but if you already have a Tudor Black Bay 58, what's a great second luxury watch? That's a
Oh,
good question. Hmm. What do you think, Constantine?
depends what you are like. A Breitling Chronomat would be a great next luxury watch. Or if you would like to step up the game, get a Skydweller.
Mm-hmm.
Nice complication, very different to the Black Bay. Chronograph, Speedmaster, no, because the vibe of the Black Bay 58 and the Speedmaster, even though it's a dive watch and a chrono, but the vibe is very similar. But get maybe a Speedmaster Racing,
Yeah,
sort of thing.
I
Or
see.
get a Grand Seiko dress watch
Yeah,
with a GMT complication. This would
yeah,
make pretty much sense. Or go for an AP.
yeah,
Royal Oak too. There's so many options.
yeah, yeah. I think this question actually brought me to a realization, kind of fresh in my mind. I was thinking uh, the Black Bay 58 is a really great watch. It I know Watchfinder said it's the perfect watch, and I'm inclined to agree because it's a really great size and it works on a lot of people's wrists. Um, excuse me. The bracelet is really nice. It wears really well. It's well balanced. The bezel click is really nice. The action is really good. Movement solid. Got 70-hour power reserve. Anti-magnetic. So on and so forth. It's just uh, a really good watch, and they gave you everything with that watch for an enthusiast, I think. And I found now, kind of fresh in my mind, I'm thinking about the Grand Seikos. They always hold something back, so you kind of have to have another Grand Seiko. Like if you have, say, the Snowflake, you miss out on the high beat. You miss out on the really cool 44 GS case shape.
Hmm.
Um, and miss out on that really cool dial if you go with the 44GS case shape. And there's always something, in that collection where you kind of feel like you're missing out on. But with the Tudor Black Bay 58, I feel like they gave you everything, and it's liable to really make you satisfied. So it's something that's fresh in my mind. So I haven't thought it through very much. But what do you think, Constantine?
But I think they've got this already with the regular Tudor 41. The, of course, opportunity or the pro for the 58 is it's thinner. It doesn't wear as thick.
Yeah.
But I did have it on my wrist, and it was for me a little bit too small for my liking. It's like 39 millimeters. I compared, or I like to compare it with the 14060M. So the Black Bay 58 and the 14060M, it's like the rebirth of this watch at Tudor in terms of how this watch does feel. It's like a real tool watch. Rolex Submariner right now is a pure luxury watch. If you compare the current iterations of the Submariner with the Black Bay lineup, the Black Bay is a real tool watch because you've got there the aluminium bezel inlay, you've got more, how should I name it? A more vintage design, of course. And the Black Bay 58 ticks a lot of boxes, but to me, the regular Black Bay 41 dive watch is the same. It offers actually the same. But I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I used to have the Black Bay 41, and I'm okay with wearing something a bit larger, as long as if it's comfortable to wear. But the thickness was a little bit of a problem for me with the Black Bay, the regular Black Bay, not the Black Bay 41. So yeah, when I did get to try on the Black Bay 58, I was thinking, wow, this is exactly what I was looking for. So I guess there's a lot of subjective thinking there as well. It's not objectively good, but subjectively I can see it being just the right watch. So that's a good point, Constantine. Thank you. So let's go through the chat super quick. Black Bay 58 is a great first luxury watch, and there's quite a few good comments here. Bobby, it's good to see you. Post call and luckily entered the live stream. Thanks for joining us. Brandon says, I agree with you, Kevin. Speedy is a good choice, but knowing your personal aesthetic, I think stepping into gold two-tone might be a lot of fun for you. Grand Seiko, anything Omega. Those are really good suggestions.
Two-tone every time is fun.
Yes, it is. Lange hides the tourbillon behind the dial. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Sounds more like Moser, actually. Moser makes great complication and hide them totally.
Yeah. They did. Didn't they do a Blue Lagoon with an open tourbillon, with the cutout in the dial? No indices or anything. It's just a.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Moser is really also a brand I really like. Current Swiss Up iteration with the loading screen.
Yes.
More second complication. That
was great. Yeah.
This is
awesome. Omega Aquaterra, Rolex GMT, Grand Seiko Four Seasons. I definitely agree. Grand Seiko Four Seasons is a knockout hit. OP40, second luxury watch. Lots of Rolex recommendations. Brandon, Pro Aquaterra. he has a really nice blue Aquaterra.
Aquaterra, the current one, right?
Yes. Yeah. The previous one had the verticals.
Right.
Brandon has the modern one.
Nice one.
Good to see you, Miguel. Thanks for joining us. We're just about to end, actually. So thanks for hitting the tail end. Brandon asked, "Have we seen the Swiss cheese watch?" It's hilarious. I didn't actually see it in person.
In person, not, but of course in the renderings. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a joke at first when I first. It was a joke, but
a good one.
Yeah, it was a good joke. All right, guys. So we're hitting 1 hour 20 minutes. So I think we'll close for the day. Thank you all for joining us. We Constantine, we really have to have you back. If you would be okay with coming back, that would be amazing.
Would be a
It's
pleasure.
always a lot of fun having guys on, and just chatting. It was a good hangout, I think, and I really thank you for joining us. It was great.
Thanks
Um,
for having me. It was really fun.
yeah, everyone, don't forget to check out the Mr. B YouTube channel. He puts a lot of work into his videos. They're really well edited, beautiful shots, um, and you do 2 videos every week. It's German and English. It's a lot of work. So
I try to grind them out, yeah, but
yeah,
I'm doing the best there.
yeah. So really great work in the Mr. B YouTube channel. Do go check him out.
Thank
Do you
you.
have an Instagram, Constantine?
Yeah, it's B_Mr_B.
Okay, so I didn't know that. I have to follow you as well. So everyone follow Mr. B on Instagram. But yeah,
Thanks for that.
thanks for joining us, everyone in the chat. It was really nice having your questions. Very interesting. And if you come back next time, Constantine, I'll have you my questions.
All right.
But yeah, it was great. So we will see you next time. Thanks, guys. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you. Stay safe. Bye bye.